Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is day 15, the start of week 3. There's two people right here that I think highly of, and I know you do as well. If you spend any time there at week 3, you know Jered and Melinda Markmen. You probably know them from many other weeks because they've done so much for Carolina Bible Camp over the years. This is the 49 days of CBC, and so we're introducing you to people that you may not know or people that you do know. And we get to spend a few minutes with Jered and Melinda, and I can tell you firsthand, they love camp. They love the campers. They love to spend time with these kids. They put a lot of time and effort into it. As a director, it takes a lot of time and effort. As a director's wife, you keep him straight and you make sure he does everything he's supposed to do, right?
Try.
Try. All right. Well, so since today is the beginning of week 3, what's it feel like not being at Carolina Bible Camp?
Our whole summer is not right because it revolves around that. You prepare. I don't think people realize, that you prepare about all year with getting your staff and everything. And he is having meltdowns, worrying about everything. And I'm going, it's going to be okay. We've got great staff. And, it's a big part of our life that's just this big hole that's missing.
Jered?
This week is usually, I don't know about you, but I don't sleep much the week before camp. And so it's feeling weird that I'm getting so much sleep this week because I'm not used to doing it. My summer depends on two things, and that's when does school end teaching and when does camp start. And those are the only two dates that I look at usually in the summer. Nothing else really matters. And so right now, school being over with, and I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I'm going ahead and I'm going to jump into something that you're going to ask later, I know. But this is my 24th year of camp, or it would have been. And I've gone just about every week, and I've done just about every position there is at camp. And so camp for the last 24 years has been my whole summer, and that's what my whole summer depends on is camp. And so this summer, this feels very awkward.
Well, as you talk about 24 years of Carolina Bible Camp, how about you, Melinda? How long have you been going to Carolina Bible Camp?
Well, I can't even tell you. The first time I went when I was 10 years old, and I'm past 50, so that's all I'll say. No, I'm 53, so it's, I guess, like 43, 44 years. There was only 1 or 2 summers I couldn't come.
Wow.
So one was because I broke my foot, and another was when I was working. So I consistently had been going for a long, long, long time, and I knew all the old guard. From HR to Howard Winters to you name it.
Sam
and
Norman.
I was at a time through all the different camps, and when Wilson and Lil were head counselors. And so I've seen all the old guard and the changes, and a lot of those men are very dear in my heart. So they had amazing effect on me, and Carolina Bible Camp, no matter where it was, is I wasn't baptized at camp, but I decided to be. I went home and was baptized, and that's where I fell in love with God. So it's just such a part of my life, and Jered and I met there. So, we had the honor and privilege of Jered baptizing our son several years ago there. So I have many, my dear friends are there. I can't imagine my life without it. So
that is so true. That is so true. These family members, basically, right? Your staff becomes your family, and you look forward to seeing them. It's just a true blessing, isn't it?
Many of them you end up talking to about 2 or 3 times a week, and they become your closest confidants. And I know for the campers, that's one thing they're going to miss is being able to see their friends and making new friends. But that's absolutely still true with us as adults and as staff is we enjoy each other's company. I enjoyed the years that we worked week 3 together of being in the staff cabin. Right now I would miss being in the staff cabin with John Weed and David Price, and the list goes on. And so, as campers, they love the friendships, but man, we've got so many, and so many of our friends are from camp.
Amen to that. So I guess the question that I have for the both of you, and that's what keeps you coming back? You basically answered it there, but what really keeps you coming back?
You leave the world behind when you hit the gravel road. The relationships that we talked about, just leaving the world behind and having a week to renew. And yes, it's tiring and it's hard and it's hot and it rains, but you're exhausted when you get home, but it's worth every bit of it. And you have your better years. You've had, some years you have more problems, but as many years as I've been going, it all comes together. And I think just when I'm there and the first song that we all sing together, it just touches my heart. And just things like that. It's such a renewing thing that I love it. So,
just before we got on tonight, I was flipping through Facebook and I saw the picture of you after you had baptized Amia and hugging her. And I remember that feeling with Edgar. And I don't care how many times I've seen it, because I'm, over 24 years, we've seen numerous young adults give their life to Christ. And every one of them, I get a little tear in my eye. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that I continue to go, is for that. But also knowing, or not knowing really, how many seeds have been planted, and what the kids may hear and go home and listen and study farther. So, but one thing that I'm going to jump to another of your questions now too, though.
That's fine.
Growing up, I always was, you need to go to camp, you need to go to camp. And I was like, nope, camp is not for me. I'm not going to camp, not doing it. You're crazy. Stay away from me. No. When I was in college, my campus minister came to me and said, we're going to camp. And I said, no, we're not. And he said, oh, I wasn't asking you. I'm telling you, you're going to camp. And I said, I've avoided it for this long. I'm leaving it alone. It didn't work. I was at camp that summer. And the second year is when I met Melinda. So those that have been maybe putting off camp, or what is there to do at camp, or why should I go? I'm going to ask you another question of why shouldn't you go? And to go there, when camp is, we went a few weeks ago and just kind of drove through the gates and drove around, and you can, and to be on camp in the month of June and for it to be quiet and empty is eerie.
It hurts the heart.
Yes. And you keep waiting to see somebody, and there is nobody. And just as empty as camp was, but the quiet of camp, from, I don't, how many nights, Andy, at 10 or 11 o'clock at night have we walked around camp?
Oh, wow.
And we don't do that at home. I mean, you're not probably going to go later tonight at 10 o'clock and go, let me just walk around the outside of my house. But we do it at camp. It's the only time I ever get out at 10 or 11 o'clock to just walk around. So
it's probably the only time that you walk. It's probably the only time that we'll walk 10 to 12 miles a day at camp.
Yeah.
Well, as you're talking about that, and I've seen you do this. I know Melinda's done this before, and that's that camper, like you were saying, that's coming in and you're trying to reassure them. And, that first day that they walk into camp, they're kind of nervous and scared and everything. What do they look like 2 to 3 days later?
If you can find them or see them sitting still. For us, the first year that Edgar went, our son was about 9 years old. We had to stop him on Wednesday or Thursday in the dining hall after lunch. We grabbed him. I think we stood at the doors and tackled him because all we had seen was a flash of him going everywhere, him wanting to do everything. He didn't want to mess anything at all. But us trying to do, have you bathed lately, or at least sometime this week? Is this a new pair of underwear that you have on? Have you at least changed?
That's clothes from 2 days ago. Still wearing.
And so, I mean, it's just so much to do. And my sister-in-law sent my nephew a few years ago with a pair of white shorts. Why, I don't know. They didn't come back white at all.
No.
I think they were gray or black.
Every year when you have new counselors and everything, they don't know what to do, and you walk them through and you reassure them, and you get them. And by Tuesday, even the newest campers or the new campers, they don't know what to do. By Tuesday, they've got it usually, unless they're really homesick or something.
Yeah.
And it's, you get the routine, you do it, and you're encouraged. And so every year it's different, but it's the same also.
Yeah. Well, the consistency that I've heard from all these interviews that I've done is that, when we get that camper to Wednesday, if we can get them to stay till Wednesday, we've got it made usually. Usually they'll stick it out for the whole week. And, and it's, I know the counselors are, all your counselors and staff, they know the kids that are kind of on the fringes and stuff, and they work hard to get those kids involved. It's amazing, though, to see how the campers try to bring that kid in, too. You see that all the time as well. Now, this last question, you're probably not going to be able to answer with just one person. I know that you've had many mentors at Carolina Bible Camp. Wilson Burton. We were both there on his last couple of years together, and he was just a gentleman, really, and just a humble servant. He didn't want the limelight and everything, and it was just an honor working with him then. But if there's somebody that you could share with us that has left a lasting impression on you.
That's so hard.
Boy, you left the last one.
Wow, that's hard.
I'm going to try not to cry because I'm going to, I'm sure. You did a wonderful job describing and talking about Wilson. What a wonderful man. I will never forget, and I've told this story so many times, I know people are tired of hearing it, but I still remember on a Sunday night answering the phone and it being Wilson and him telling me that he had stepped down as director. And I told him, I said, well, I know they're going to get somebody, they won't be as good as you, but they'll be qualified, they'll be, able to do a good job. So I'm sure that person will be lined up. And he said, well, you've already been approved. And my next comment to him was, Wilson, how do you follow a legend?
Yeah.
And there was a pause, and it was that awkward pause. And the next thing he said is, I'm not a legend, I'm just Wilson. And I thought for a while, and my reply back to him was, just keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
Because in my books, he is a legend. I mean, Dennis Connor means a lot to me. My first few years with Dennis, I worked, I don't want to give Freddie Pace any credit or much because he doesn't deserve any. But Freddie means a lot to me. Yeah. I don't want to blow up his head and make him feel good about himself. Freddie has done a lot for me. And Freddie gave me the opportunity to see how many jobs I could do in 1 week. I remember going home one year and I called Melinda to tell her I was on my way home, and she said, how was your week? What'd you do? And I said, let me tell you what I didn't do because that's a shorter list.
There you go.
Because Freddie kept me busy. Kirk Sam's always means a lot to me. the last 2 or 3 years, I know on Saturday or Sunday, I'm probably going to get a call or a text from him and you, encouraging me for the week, saying that I'm in your prayers for the week. That has always meant a lot. Tanya Wynn and Leanne Mullins, they are phenomenal in what they do in working in the kitchen. They have done so much the last few years. They have stepped out of the kitchen and done other things as well behind the scenes. David Price will do about anything, very talented man. There's just so many, and I'm going to forget somebody. I'm going to feel bad about it. John Weed does, yeah, if John Weed wasn't there sometimes, I don't know what I would do. He calms me down a lot and is a good sounding board. Dean Meadows has done a really good job the last few years with education. It's just, and I think that's one another, to get back to our earlier question of coming back again and again, is to spend time with these people. You know, you and I have worked weeks together, but I don't think you and I have ever been able to sit down for about 30 minutes and just talk or hang out because there's no time. No. And we may say, hey, Andy, let's hang out one day this week. And we may plan it. Don't plan anything because it's not going to happen. At camp, I've also learned don't have a to-do list. Have a I'd like to get accomplished list because that's probably what's going to happen.
Yep. How about you, Miss Melinda?
And I know Melinda's got a lot longer list of those that have meant a lot to her. I know HR and Wilson. I know I've started a list for.
It's hard because I came through, you know, as I said, the old guard.
Ed Hill,
Howard Winters, the Wall of Fame.
C.R. Franks.
C.R. Franks, I knew everyone of them. And they were dear, dear men to me. And Wilson Burton baptized me, actually. So, you know, he's always had, him and Lil, his wife's always had a very, very special heart to me and my family, my sisters. They were head of like our youth group growing up. It's just so hard, you know, as a woman, Viv Bohannon, she came until she couldn't come anymore. And she was crazy, man.
Was she the one that come in on a bus?
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yes, and they didn't know, and she was crazy.
Well, I think the first time I met her, she came up and was sitting in lunch there during week 3, and she brought ice and put on my head and just kept running around my head. And I was like, who is this woman?
Yeah, that's her. She was, even when she got older, she would do somersaults and stuff. I mean, she was crazy. But goodness, you know, Lil and Wilson, they were head counselors for many years. There's been so many people that influenced me. It's hard, you know, like Dennis and Kirk, and I'm good friends with Dennis, Jeff Sykes. And when Jonathan Seaman was coming, all them, I was close with them. It's just so hard. I've been influenced by so many people and still have such great friends like Latanya and Leanne and David and John. I love them dearly and can call on them for anything. And they're such good brothers and friends for my husband. And, you know, we all need that. And I have so many friends through the years that were in our wedding and are still friends that maybe I don't get to pick up. And, you know, a lot of the Deep River congregation that attends 7th week now, I love them dearly. They are dear, dear. I call them my deep friends. So it's just hard. It's hard, you know, to name all the people. It's just really hard because I have such relationships, they're my friends. So it was neat. I'm glad I was there at the time to see all the old guard. And it's just so sad to see that they're gone. And I don't think the campers really realize. I know last year we tried to emphasize who started it and how they did it and all the things. And they gave a lot. and just to see how it was built and finally, finding the place in Knoxville. I got to see that through the years. I'm glad I did.
So true. That's so true. Just imagine what the
one
impact.
I forgot that I want to mention real quick if I can. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
But one third week that meant a lot to me. He was a quiet one, and when I say his name, you're gonna laugh. I know, but one that would stay quiet until you asked for his opinion, and he was more than willing to help. And I wish he can come back more. Was Billy Voss.
Oh wow. Yes.
Billy is when Melinda keeps talking about changing the guard. My first year as director, I was the second youngest in the staff cabin.
Mm-hmm.
Just the second youngest. And now, I hate to say I'm getting on the other end, where I'm getting to be near the older ones. Because some of those older ones that came, Wilson and Billy and so many others, just not able to come anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a heartbreaking thing. Like Ronnie Orey, those talks in the staff cabin, week 3, were just legendary, weren't they?
Yeah.
We can't talk about some of the way they were dressed, but
we're not going there.
No.
We ate dinner.
Yes.
So we're going to keep that where it is. The saying, what happens in the staff cabin stays in the staff cabin. So
yes.
We're just going to leave that all there.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember the year that we thought the power had gone out in camp, but actually it was a camper that had shut the power off in cabin 8 or 7, whatever it was, at staff cabin, and all the CPAP machines went off. And so all the old men were struggling to breathe at night because somebody killed our power. I won't say his name out loud, Kevin Sumino, but
well, luckily I don't need one of those yet.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be dependent on it, but
right.
You never know what the future holds. But yeah, but that's one of the things I think that's kind of hitting home for me right now is those older ones that we leaned on so much are not able to come anymore. And the scary part for me, at least, and the humbling part is you and I are the ones that they're looking to now. And that's humbling. That's scary. I appreciate it. But, one thing that you and I understand as directors that others don't quite get is the responsibility that we have. They look at our power and authority. No, it's the responsibility. And what we are to do from Sunday to Saturday.
Yeah. Well, I know you come in with the same thought process that when those kids are dropped off on that Sunday afternoon, they become your kids. They're your babies, your responsibility. Absolutely. I just pray that we're able to have half of the amount of impact that all these wonderful men before us did. If we can do that, we're doing something good. If we can manage to do that. Well, guys, it's been a true honor to spend a few minutes with you tonight talking about your memories of Carolina Bible Camp. I look forward to all the years to come that we get to work together teaching these kids. I'm getting kind of teary-eyed now myself, but to just think about the time that we've spent together so far, but think about the time we get to spend later on, and that's going to be in heaven with God. And we've got to get these kids there with us. So I just want to thank you for joining us on the 49 days of CBC. It's a great opportunity for week 3 to help support the work that goes on there at CBC. I know that y'all do a wonderful job. And so I'm going to ask you this one last question. If you have one thing to say to your staff and to the kids that would have been here this week, what would that be?
Even though we can't be anywhere or much in person, we're still there in spirit. As you were just having your remarks, I just thought about how wonderful and glorious the singing is at camp.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And the singing during senior devos. And week 3 has some very talented singers and campers that are very gifted. but what's that going to sound like in heaven? And to
Oh.
magnify that, how many times, how wonderful it's going to be. You know, we're, no matter where any of us are, we're still brothers and sisters in Christ. And that's still such a powerful thought to think about. And to know that at any time, anything that I may need, I mean, I know I can call on Andy King. I know I can call on David Price, John Weed. And you guys aren't just going to say, you know, do you want me to help you? It's going to be, how can I and when? And that is so helpful. Melinda and I love you. I mean,
love you too,
this
brother.
is a big part of camp, of our lives, this camp.
Amen.
For us having met there, I can about show you in the dining hall where I first insulted her. And she came, I was sitting at the table and she came to sit down and I said, nope, they said 2 staff members at table, you got to go to another table. And she sat down and she said, well, if you want to go somewhere else, move. And she sat down.
I love that.
I didn't move.
I should have known.
So for us having met there, for me being able to baptize Edgar, you know, and I'm sure this thought has gone through your mind too, of Carolina Bible Camp has 7 weeks of camp. And one of our elders mentions it from time to time, that at our congregation, they are honored and privileged to have one of the 7 directors of camp. And when you think about the state of North Carolina and all the wonderful brothers of Christ that we have, to have been asked by the board, and I guess approved by the board, to be able to serve as one of the 7 directors of Carolina Bible Camp, it's a very humbling experience. And it's something that I hope I take serious enough, because it is an awesome responsibility. We miss it. We look forward to seeing everybody next year. I'm glad I wasn't on the board to have to make this decision, because I can't imagine the discussion and the debating and the heart-wrenching decision to be. But as far as, you know, being, again, separated physically, we're all there spiritually, and we're there together in one spirit.
Amen.
There's just there's a big hole in my heart, and I miss everybody. I just want to say I miss, from the campers to all the staff. Like Jered said, and I said before, it's such a part of our lives,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's just not right. And so I want them to go, try to study and continue and gear up for next year. And it's just going to be, I think, even more special. God willing, we'll be able to do it next year. And so keep on. I want everybody to keep coming back and just have half the feeling I do.
Amen. Well, guys, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me and sharing Carolina Bible Camp. I know your staff really appreciates everything that y'all do for week 3. I know I do. So, guys, just keep it up, and I love you, and just take care of yourselves, all right?
Thank you very much.
Same to you.